Guitar pedal sales have gone down quite a lot since last summer, maybe even before that, and guitar gear in general. And that is probably connected to the world coming out of the pandemic. There's a war in Europe, inflation and so on. Most of us have less money than before, so we don't buy another Tube Screamer because we have 500 Tube Screamer clones already. But I also think there are some other reasons to why pedal companies are struggling at the moment. So let's take a look at that. Pedals, more pedals, a bunch of pedals up here. Here's a poster with pedals. Pedal. First and probably the most important part, the market is saturated. Within each pedal effect category, delay, fuzz, overdrive, chorus, you have literally thousands of pedals to choose from. And if you can't find a fuzz you like at this point, you probably just hate fuzz. And a problem with guitar pedals, especially if you compare them to regular tech, is that regular tech is an ever-evolving thing. Companies can always make a better TV or a better phone, which makes that better product pretty easy to market. This phone is better than the last one we made, and it's better than our competitors, therefore you should buy this phone. But with guitar gear and especially pedals, what can you really improve with a pedal? We see some companies adding features to old sounds, and maybe those old sounds are easier to use now. We see some improvements to old sounds, but how much can you really improve a Tube Screamer sound without it not sounding like a Tube Screamer anymore? I would say that you can't really do that much to it. We guitar players are in many ways extremely conservative. We sort of set the standards with sounds and gear in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and we want our gear to sound like it did back then. And actually guitar companies spend an awful lot of time to recreate gear that was made way back when. And yes, you do have some modern gear like guitars or modelers that are pushing things forwards, but with pedals, I would say not that much really. And yes, some are pushing it with pedals as well, but it's not that common, I would say. So then to be able to sell pedals today, you are leaning strongly on marketing to move products. It's the brands with the best looking pedals that are selling and the best social media presence. And some people often refer to this as hype. I don't think hype is the right word. You can call it that if you want to, but I don't think it's hype. This is just the pedal market catching up to everything else in the commercial world. Companies have been doing branding for many, many years, and now you'll have to do that to survive in the pedal world as well. And marketing, branding, hype, whatever you want to call it, takes a lot of resources. It's expensive and it takes a lot of time. So if you're a one-man band operation in your basement, you make decent sounding pedals, but you just do everything as you did 10-15 years ago, that is probably not working anymore. Like back then, you could put a tweaked fuzz phase circuit into a new enclosure and slap a simple logo on it. That could be enough. Maybe you post about it on the gear page, and if you are really lucky, you get a video on YouTube, and you could be selling a lot of those pedals. And now you basically need a Coca-Cola marketing team just to come up with an idea that would sell that same tweaked fuzz phase circuit. You will need at least one thing with your idea, your packaging, your branding that makes people think, I've tried 500 Tube Screamers at this point, but 501, that's when it will be right for me. So yeah, we have less money, we buy less pedals because of that, and in a saturated market, we go for the pedals with the best marketing. We all like to think that marketing doesn't work on us. It's only working on the dumb people, but it works on most of us. That's just how it is. These are the pedals that I keep really close to where I sit and work. They are the pedals that I use the most. Not sure what this is. I think this is a good example of marketing done right. It looks really good, sounds amazing. Yeah, it just feels like a overall more high-end product somehow. Another factor that might impact sales for American pedal companies is the fact that it's harder to get pedals into the EU right now. So for example, if you use lead-based solder in your pedals, that's not allowed. Some like pedal parts are even seen as restricted substances, so you will have to replace those parts with more expensive ones. And I've even heard that some parts are not possible to replace at the moment, so builders are not able to produce a EU-friendly version of a pedal. Yes, you can still sell a lot of pedals in the US and other non-EU countries, but I can imagine that this is a pretty big hit for a lot of companies. And the bigger companies, they have more resources to follow those regulations. So brands like Boss, Strymon, JHS, you still see them on the market, but I don't know about the small brands if they are able to adapt. I hope they will, but I'm not sure. And since we are talking about regulations, we really need to touch by the new tariffs in the US. Of course, they don't explain anything going back. They can't explain sales going down for over a year now. But I did see this morning already that some pedal companies were announcing on Instagram that they need to turn up their prices because of the tariffs, because they are importing parts that they will have to pay more for now, so they lose some margin. Time will show if they can get the same or similar parts from within the US, or if they can do something else and still keep cost down so it will not affect the buyer. Yeah, we don't know yet, but I just saw that some companies announce a price increase, so I'm guessing it will affect upcoming sales. We'll see. And then there's another massive one. Is playing guitar and using pedals popular at all anymore? I talk to friends and people in the industry about this often, and I'm hearing a lot of different things. Some say that playing the guitar is in fact cool again, especially for girls and young women, thanks to artists like Girl in Red, Taylor Swift, and so on. And I will also say that as a YouTuber, I see a lot of interest in guitar content, but maybe a bit more on the entertainment side compared to how it used to be more focused on gear. Going back 10 years, I could do a demo of a pedal from a company no one had heard of before, and I would easily get like 55 million views, or maybe 50,000 views. But yeah, that was really easy back then. Like now, it's that is really hard to do. And I think this is the overall trend on YouTube. Content is more and more like sensational in many ways. But I also think that people are a bit fed up on the extreme focus on gear. Like going back to my first point with a saturated pedal market, we've seen the Tube Screamers now. Please entertain us instead of showing us another Tube Screamer clone. And when you do like simple searches on Google Trends, it is pretty clear that the interest for guitar is going down. And that's also what I see and feel around me. Yes, there is some interest, of course, but it seems to be a bit more shallow than it used to be, not as deep. And I'm a bit like bored and over the whole social media screen time debate and how much time kids and we are using on like screen devices. But it's a bit difficult to get around, and not to mention that, like, why spend 2 hours a day on learning the guitar and eventually get into overdrive pedals when you can get like 4 times the dopamine in 2 minutes on a phone? I know how a 13-year-old me would choose in that case. I would probably go the easy route. So it's very understandable, but also concerning, I would say. Luckily, I still think there are enough young people out there who are interested in something beyond their screens, and that they will carry on with learning the guitar, for example. But I don't think we will see the Google Trends going like up. Hopefully it could be like stable like this, maybe up a bit, hopefully. So what is it going to take to get the pedal sales up again? A more stable financial situation in the world, that would definitely help, and I'm just too stupid to help out there. I'm just hoping for the best. Hopefully it will get better for everyone at some point. I hope so. And I think the difficult market that we see now and have seen for a while will push companies to be more creative about the products that they make and how they market them. I think this is a good thing, but also be prepared to see a lot of pedals that aren't necessarily better than before, but in a new, more exciting packaging. Like, no, this is not an overdrive, it's a studio grade preamp. But in fact, it's an overdrive, basically, inside of that. Overall, I think the market will adapt, but it will probably not be the same as back in 2015. Things change, and that's just the way it is. Keep supporting your favorite pedal brands when you can afford it.